There is this monster that comes out of the forest beside our school every 10 p.m. at night and lures students into the forest twice in a week. It was early in the morning when the students in Ward 5 began searching for one of their ward members. The search became intense as he was nowhere to be found inside the school. The security men were then sent to search for him outside the school, and the rest of us who were engaged in the search for him retired and began our preparation for exams. While we were learning, a call came in and all the students were called to the assembly hall for an announcement. According to the principal, he said, Buju, the missing boy in Ward 5, was found dead in the nearby forest. He said the fact was proven by the piece of his body found and that he was devoured by a wild animal. The principal made an instruction that no one should be seen outside their ward or hostel by 12 midnight. On this very day, I went for a night class to study since test was nearby. It was 10 p.m. and the night class prefect asked all of us to go on ease ourselves and also let the people who are returning to their hostel leave. I was a newbie and had no friends, so I went outside to a lonely place to ease myself, while others were going to different spots to ease themselves in groups. While I was peeing, I saw something pass swiftly through the reflection of the light. I thought it less, not until I saw it taking a student along with it. This time around, it was walking slowly, and when it passed through the light, I could visualize it very well. It was a gorilla with two horns and a tail. I began following it bit by bit, but while we were close to the outrance of the school, the security guard caught me and asked me to retreat. Throughout the night, I couldn't focus on what I was reading because I was busy pondering on the incident I experienced earlier. The next day, a complaint was made by a student who dwells in Ward 1, and I was stating that his bedmate never came back from night class the previous night. A search was done and an announcement was made that he was found dead in the forest. While I was walking back to the class, I saw this new teacher who got employed a week after my registration into the boarding school. She was caressing a student in JS3, but immediately she caught sight of me, she pretended as if nothing happened. Every break time, I noticed she was always seen with this GSS 3 student. I began suspecting her because whenever she sees me and she's with the student, she acts cold. It was a Friday, 4 days after the previous missing and death of a student. By 9 p.m., I was going to fetch some water outside our ward to bathe due to a broken pipe. On my way back from fetching the water, I saw the monster walking towards the hostel occupied by junior students. I quietly followed it down to the hostel where the monster picked up a student and walked straight into the bush path. But I couldn't get into the bush because of fear of my life. But I didn't retreat, rather, I stood by the bush beside the school fence watching the monster. 30 minutes later, I saw the new teacher walking out of the direction where the monster was, and as soon as our eyes met, she ran back into the forest. The next morning, a report came through stating that the same boy who I was found with the new teacher was dead and his body was found in the nearby forest. I finalized that the new teacher was the cause of the whole mystery, and I plan to expose her as soon as I have proof. My plan was to sneak into the principal's office and get my phone to video her in the act as proof. By 6 p.m., while the principal was out of school, I made my way to the principal's office, but immediately I got there, I saw her coming out of the principal's office. She walked directly to me and held my hand, dragging me to a private location. "What is your problem? Do you want to get killed?" she asked me. In reply, I said almost immediately, "Aren't you going to kill me? Don't you know I know your secret?" She smirked at me and opened a booklet for me. "See all these names. These are the names of the people the monster is planning to kill this semester, and I am only trying to save them. she said with a serious outlook on her face. I scrolled down on the list and found my name among the next 10 people to be executed. I became scared and began panicking. Where did you get this list from? I asked with a shaky voice. It's from the principal's office, of course. I wanted to show you so you will help me stop him or the monster. She stared at me, waiting for my reply. I immediately nodded in agreement with her, so she told me to buckle up because she was taking me to the den of the monster. I quickly rushed back to my room and prepared my key to go to the den. When I was done, I quickly rushed to the spot she instructed me to wait, and together we both went to the place. The den was under a tree and inside was dark, but eventually we found a light bulb and switched it on. When we began examining the place, we found couples of artworks on the walls, strange drawings I knew nothing about. I started taking pictures with the phone the new teacher gave to me. While we were doing the search, we found the door cracked open. The teacher immediately pushed me into an open box and closed it while she was held captive by the person who entered. When the person tied her up and carried her out, I came down and began to follow the person bit by bit to know where they were heading to. I tried to capture the figure of the person, but it was too dark. All I could see was the person had 4 fingers instead of 5, and I turned back because I was too far from the school and it was close to hostel lockdown. When the person tied her up and carried her out, I came down and began to follow them. The next morning, I began a check on all the hostel staff to confirm which one among them had 4 fingers. After my checking, I found that all of them had normal fingers, no deformation. My fear increased because I knew I was left alone and soon I'll be the next hunt. After lunch that day, we were making noise and it attracted the attention of the school principal. The principal entered into our classroom, foaming with anger. All of you kneel down. Immediately, all the students knelt down. But as for Jude, who was busy discussing with his seatmate, Jessica, he called them out to be flogged. When he was done flogging Jude, and he chested all the pain, but as for Jessica, when he gave her the first lash, she screamed and held his hand, making his artificial thumb fall off. Jesus, I exclaimed. Everyone in the class turned and looked at me in awe. I immediately apologized so as to avoid attracting any punishment. Now I know the principal is my primary suspect. That evening, according to the booklet the new teacher gave me, states the monster would take one person tonight. I immediately packed up my stuff, ready to trace the monster's deeds. That evening, by 9:50 p.m., I took my usual spot where I would be able to visualize the whole environment and also see the monster incoming. By 10 p.m., I sighted the monster climbing into the school, so I quickly rushed to the hostel where the students were. I told them of everything and asked him to come with me if he wanted to be saved, and he did. But before I could step out of the hostel with him, we were both caught by the principal and he asked the student to go back to his hostel. While the principal cautioned me for my actions. The next morning, the boy was announced dead on the same spot. The principal called the police and got me arrested for murder of the student. It was so sad that the principal made a video of me when I was taking the student out of his hostel. When I was talking to the police station, the DPO asked them to bring me to him. When he saw me, he became amused and confused as how with a small innocent boy like me to be a murderer. He did an interview with me and I told him everything going on in the school. To my greatest surprise, the DPO had an idea of the monster. Immediately, he ordered I should be set free, but the accusation placed on me was too big to sweep under the carpet. I was still held, but they had to keep me by the counter and not the cell. Immediately, he ordered I should be set free after a while. Then, I later went back. The next day, the DPO took me back to the school, but on the condition I'll be returning back to the police station. After class by 5 o'clock in the evening, I went to do some examination on the exact spot the monster came through the previous night. When I got there, I saw a fellow student walking towards the direction. He was a bit distant away from me, but still I was hiding from his sight as I followed behind, because I never wanted to be caught in that environment. When he got close to the fence, I thought he would deviate to another direction, but no, he jumped over the fence. Immediately, I rushed and followed him. While I climbed up the fence, I saw him with the principal walking through the bush path leading to the forest. I was about jumping down when the security man caught me and dragged me back to the police station. The policeman reported to the officer on account of how he caught me, and the report got to the hearing of DPO. I was called by the DPO later that evening. The DPO asked me of what attracted me to the scene, which I was caught. Without hesitation, I explained everything to the DPO. He was marveled at how large the investigation was. He knew that the officers in charge of that investigation wouldn't be able to get the real results since they were blinded by the principal. So he instructed me to do a background check on the boy, which I found with the principal going to the beast den earlier. The next day during lunch in school, luckily our class prefect lost her lunch to some strong heads and she had to starve till evening. I played a gentleman and offered her my lunch. While she was enjoying the meal, I stylishly investigated her and got all I needed about the suspected boy. According to Shalom, my class prefect, he informed me that the said boy is the only son of our principal and is a weird kid because some days he will come to class hairy, while some days he will be smooth skinned. When I returned back to the station, I stated my report to the DPO and he was very proud of me. I also suggested we arrested the boy and keep him in custody so as to confirm and also prevent him from harming the next person on the list. Without delay, some officers were sent to arrest the boy and the principal. While I was about sleeping by 9 o'clock, I began hearing groaning sounds from the last cell. Anticipation got the best part of me, so I hurriedly went to see what was groaning. It happened to be the principal's son was a monster, and he was transforming into a beast. I raised alarm to the hearing of other police officers and they made sure he didn't escape. The next day, the principal was questioned as to why his son was turning into a beast. He explained that it was a wrong mixture of chemicals, which was supposed to give him strength. Furthermore, he said that the cure was to mix different kind of blood and inject it into him. And that was the reason why he was killing his students. And the student upon student. The case was forwarded to the federal government and his son was sent abroad to a lab which specified on genetics to correct his genes. On the other hand, the principal was sent to School of Genetics to enhance his knowledge, but still the government didn't take their eyes of him, and I was rewarded handsomely, and the DPO was promoted. It was a win-win for all. I hope you did enjoy this amazing story. Thank you for sticking with me on this. If this is your first time, you're highly welcome. Please turn on